Hey guys, today we're going to learn how to tie a nice A-frame tarp. This tarp will be used for like a group tarp. It could also be used for a sleeping system if you wanted to use that instead of using a tent. I know that can sound scary, but tarps are just as good. They might be a little bit windy though. Alright, so we're going to start by going over our materials. We've got a tarp there. I have set up this tarp already just to make sure it works in this area, so that's why it's a little bit not folded. But usually you should have your tarp folded. And I've got my my rope here, okay? I'm gonna go over tying a quick taut line, and then we're gonna sort of cut as we learn all the knots that you need to know for this. So come on in close. First knot is a bowline knot. So what we're gonna do for a bowline knot is I've got my working end and my fixed end, and I'm gonna make a loop in my fixed end, and my loop has a cross in it. You guys see the cross? When I imagine this cross, I want to imagine what side of the cross is coming underneath the loop and what side is going over. So this rope here is coming under and this rope here is going over. Okay, can you see that clearly? Good? All right. Now to tie my bowline, I'm gonna take my working end and I'm gonna imagine it as a rabbit. I'm actually gonna do like this so we can see a little bit better as to what's going on. Okay, can you just come a little bit higher? Thank you. So I'm taking my rabbit and it's gonna go through the hole, and then it's gonna wrap around the tree, which is rooted in the hole, and come back through like that. And I'm gonna pinch my rabbit's path and grab my rope here and tie it tight. There's a bowline. You can tell by the life jacket looking shape there, okay? There's a bowline. Now we're gonna move on. You can review and rewind if you wanna see that. But now we're gonna tie a trucker's hitch on this end. So to tie a trucker's hitch, I'm gonna make a loop in the rope and I'm gonna put it about a foot back from the tree. So to make a loop, I'm just gonna create a bite, which is a loop without a cross, and then I'm gonna tie just a quick overhand knot. So I do it over my finger, and I'm gonna make it nice and small because I don't have a ton of rope to do this, but that's okay. There we go. Now we're gonna come around and we're gonna tie this working end through the loop and tighten down. So I'm creating a lot of mechanical advantage by coming around the tree and then through the loop, and I can pull that back, and I've almost tightened my rope as much as a guitar string. So to tie this off, I'm gonna do 2 half hitches, and to do that on this situation, because it's so tight, I'm gonna pinch all of the ropes together with my hand, and then I'm gonna take my free hand and create a bite and feed this rope. I'm gonna have to do it with one hand over top and tie that nice and tight. There's one of my 2 half hitches that I need. Okay, so I'm gonna go over that because now that it's pinched, I can do it a little bit easier. Take my loop, wrap around, and done. Okay, there's your tight line. Now we're gonna take a quick cut and throw the tarp over, and then we're gonna go over those knots next, okay? All right, my tarp's all thrown over there. So now we're gonna tie to a tree with a round turn and 2 half hitches knot. So let's come over here. Nice to this birch tree that I may or may not have planned out. It works out very well. We're coming around this tree here, and we're gonna do a round turn, which is a full turn around. That's gonna add a ton of friction to the tree. If I pull this really hard, this end is not being pulled. If I only had one, if I pull this really hard, really easy, right? To tighten my tarp. So I want to do a round turn to eliminate that that movement. So a round turn and then the 2 half hitches. So I'm going to take my rope here and create a loop like that. I'm going to feed the rope into that loop, 1, and I'm going to do that one more time for my second half hitch like that. Tighten it up. And there we go, that's one end. Now let's move over to tying a rock. We can just keep it, you don't have to cut. I picked out a rock here, I dug it up from there. Sometimes you don't have a long enough rope to reach a tree, so you gotta use a rock. That's okay, it works the exact same way. So on this rock, I'm going to come underneath it with my rope, and I don't have quite enough rope to make a full round turn with the 2 half hitches. In this case, I could either move the rock closer or just tie my 2 half hitches. Usually I'd recommend moving the rock closer, but today, just based on my rope size, I'm gonna tie just the 2 half hitches. And what's nice about this rock is that now that it's nice and tight, I can move this around and make it tight. So we're gonna take a quick cut and do the last 2 corners, and then we'll talk a little bit about tarp tightness. 2. All right, we got the tarp all tied up. So now we'll just very quickly talk about rain flow. So this tarp is pretty good. The rain's gonna flow right off of it. It'll either flow through the grommets or it'll flow through these little channels. It shouldn't pool in any place. And if it does, our 2 rock spots that we tied are nice, easily adjustable points, okay? Let's pop underneath it. And this ground here is inclined, it's coming down this way. So any water that falls off this tarp is gonna roll this way. So the reason I have it like that is if I had it flipped, all the water that flows off of these 2 ends would flow right towards me. I want it kind of on either end, like channels, if that makes sense. Okay, that's a tarp, that's rain considerations. You can rewind and watch the rest of the video if you want. We're on to past our time limit, so I'm gonna leave you right there. Good luck tying your tarps.